Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome to Fair Face Fail Productions. Out here today with Lance and Ford. We're pretty excited to get out here on a weekday to our Rampart area. Nobody out here. It's real nice. I'm out here on the DR350 today. I wanted to do a 390s versus video, but that ended up not happening because my Beta's battery's dead. Still, I ordered a new battery and it hasn't come yet, so kind of a bummer. So today is going to be kind of, I think I'm going to try to talk Ford into riding the old DR350, and we're going to do a 2021 390 review. I think that's what we're going to do today. Now, I've ridden the bike a couple of times now. On Brecca, I rode it a little bit, but I just really didn't get a feel for it, and he's kind of new to it too, and it's still breaking in. And I think today is going to be a lot better kind of showcase of the bike as a whole for me. It does feel different than my 19 for sure, so we'll talk about some differences there. First, I think I'm going to maybe talk about some of the things that I really enjoy about the 390, my 390, the 2019 Beta 390. We'll talk about some of the things that I really love about my bike, and some of the things that either they improved it or made it worse, or I like better for the 19 or for the 2021. Good God. All right, so some of my things that I really enjoy about the 2019 Beta 390. The engine actually is probably one of my more favorite things about that bike, and the suspension are probably my top two, but I'll start with the engine. The 390 is of course a 390cc engine that makes, I don't know how much power they say it makes on paper. Some people have dynoed it, but I don't really believe those figures anyway. It's all about feel and usability for me. So the 390's engine is a stroked motor, so it's all pretty much geared around its torque. And boy, does that bike as a whole just makes so much beautiful engine torque. Like, it's usable, it's fun, you can count the RPMs down to where it's chugging, and it just never gives up. The 390 also has a top end, so surprisingly enough, the top end of the 390 is quite good. You know, it's nothing like the 500 or the 430, but, and I would say even the 350, my memory of test riding it is that it has a little bit more of a top end. But yeah, it's quite an astonishing bike when it comes to its versatility, I guess. There's a lot of power down low, and there's power down up through the mid-range into the top end. Now it does taper off, and it's pretty mellow at the top. So when you ride the bike, your feeling is to keep it down low and kind of chug it, because that's, in my opinion, the most fun thing about it. So the RRS models in 2019 are single fuel injected. So I think the RR models got the dual fuel injection, if memory serves. So now I've ridden both bikes a little, and I don't notice a whole lot except at the real bottom end of the bikes, but we're going to try some more out today before I talk more to that. As far as reliability goes, yeah, the bike has been really reliable. I've had no engine problems. I did break a stator case, so that was a grand total of like $80 to replace that. So not a big deal. New gasket. Just had to slap a new one on there. Other than that, which was totally my fault, no problems. And the bike's got right around 100 hours on it now. And I'm not sure what that equates to in mileage anymore. I think probably right around 1,500, 2,000 miles. I've ridden the 19 on and off-road quite a bit. Most of its time is definitely off-road, but I've used it as a dual sport, and I love it. It's been quite good. I think it's a comfortable bike. I think it's fun to ride. I haven't had a lot of downsides to say about that bike. So my RRS, of course, has the Sachs suspension, stock RRS model suspension. I mean, there's really nothing I've done to it. Now, I did tune it to myself. I kind of backed everything out and then, redid it, I guess. It's the best way to think about it. So I've tuned the suspension to myself, and I've got it set up quite a way that I like it a lot. Now, I've been on 2 of the new RRS models, the 500 and the 390 now, and I think they did make some improvements, but we'll talk to that a little bit more when I get on the bike. But overall, it's dampening, the travel, the feel. It's very good, very, very, very good. Better than anything I've ever really ridden. I chose the sack suspension over the KYB, I think is what they offer, because I chose the sack suspension over the KYB because it's softer. I do a lot of dual sporting, long riding days, and I'm not a race guy, so the sacks really made a lot of sense, and I'm very, very happy with that. Now, when I first got the bike, the suspension was really harsh. And I was kind of worried, like it was beating me up. I would say after the first few months of riding and putting some hours on it, the suspension really kind of broke in, and much better feel now. So Cole's even kind of commented to the effect of, "Wow, I really kind of like your setup better than mine, but we gotta get it set up for him properly. That way he kind of enjoys it." Plus, I wouldn't touch the suspension on a beta until you have about 30 hours on the bike. You'll be playing up and down and trying to find what settings you like. Yeah, get some hours on it before you go playing with it. Other things that I like about my 390 is aesthetically, the bike is beautiful. The 19s are a little bit longer, frame and chassis wise, than the new 21s and 22s. So I think it looks better, and I think the ride is perhaps a little bit more, I'm not going to say better, it's different. From the time that I spent on the 390, the ride is different from my 2019. I believe the weight of my 390 is right around 260 pounds wet. I get kind of a different view because I've got that giant 4-gallon tank I always keep filled up, but yeah, it's still, it doesn't feel heavy, but the new ones definitely feel lighter. I'd say the new 500 feels about the same weight as my old 390. Although, something about the engine moving really makes the 390 still feel lighter. I almost blew that corner. I guess the big question that I have is, did Beta improve on stuff? Did they make some things worse? And the only thing I can really think of that I really dislike about my Beta is the kickstand. But everybody's complaining about that, and Beta did fix that problem. And the things that I'm kind of looking for is the bike getting smoother? Is there tuning different? Is the power and delivery changed at all? Those are kind of the big things that I've looked at. And if you're looking at buying a used Beta versus a new Beta, is it really worth spending the extra money? Although right now the difference may not be a whole lot, but maybe there's pros to the 19 over the 21. We'll see. Oh, this thing is a monster. Alright, so right away, the 390, I realized that it's way more powerful than my 350. Oh, the power down low is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. The bottom end feels smoother than mine, real low down. It feels like there's actually a little bit more grunt than mine. It's also smoother, more gradual power. That was about its limit. The seat is awful. I've still got the stock seat on mine, and I would say that this is by far worse than mine. So it's a little bit more twitchy at the bottom end than mine, but overall, it doesn't feel too bad. I would say they definitely added some oomph to the bottom end. I don't think it's a lot, but I think maybe that dual fuel injector setup helped. But it's definitely there. Oh, suspension is phenomenal. Now hitting the hard stuff feels pretty much identical to my Beta. The longer, harder hits. Very controlled, very consistent, and not overwhelming. Now, the initial softness of the suspension, like the first few millimeters of travel, feels much more plush. Mine can still feel a little bit of harsh up front. I have gotten used to my 505 cheater on there, and that's for sure. The stock tire is pretty easy to break loose. Oh, the low end. That's what's fun about this bike, is just jetting off that low. Oh, it feels so good. It feels a little bit more flickable. Like it leans one direction or another a little bit easier. The engine braking is for sure more. That was one of the things that Beta touted. The 19, the engine braking is like sometimes a lot there and sometimes not. I don't know why that is. It's kind of inconsistent. This so far downhill has been very consistent on the engine braking. Gearing feels pretty much identical. I don't know if they made any changes. Don't think so though. Yeah, that engine braking is monstrous. You almost don't even need to use the rear brake. That's pretty outstanding, actually. I'm quite happy with that. On these real steep, steppy whoop things, the suspension is quite nice. I would probably dial back the settings for myself a little bit, dampen it up a little bit more. Back off the preload maybe, but overall, I think they improved the suspension's first little bit of travel, and then they kind of kept what was great about the sack suspension as it were. So I would say that that's a win for everybody. The engine with the standard dual fuel injection, oh man, it's feeling good. Like, I can't fault it on anything quite yet. By far my least favorite thing about this experience is how hard the seat is. Good God. Now I know the seat, he really hasn't broken in, but it's thinner than I think my 19 seat. My 19 seat is not comfortable. It's not good, but it's more comfortable than this. This bike really just improves on what was already kind of great about my 19 Beta. Feels more responsive, a little bit more throttle control, I think. a little bit more nimble. I don't feel anything bad or negative with this one, other than me wanting to change the suspension settings up, but that's very user dependent. If you're looking at a 19 or a 21 and you can find a good deal on a 19, the difference isn't much. It really isn't. This has got a little more off bottom power, but once you get to the mid-range, it's identical. Now, I haven't done this bike in single track yet, but I have no doubt that it'll probably be a little bit more tolerant in single track because of the dual fuel injection and having a little bit more grunt down low, a low. So anyone can buy this. I think the only thing that I'd say is the prices are just too high right now. I mean, to get one of these brand new, it's about 12 grand out the door. That's pretty pricey. And I'm just not, it's not something I think it should be that expensive. I think 10 grand should really be the ceiling for these bikes. That's my only real downside about it. Otherwise, if you like the betas and you want something that's a solid, reliable bike, I've got a lot of hours on mine. It's real reliable. And these new ones, I have no doubt, are going to be more of the same. And Beta is also a company that's stood behind their products. They even gave me a pretty awesome discount when I broke my stator case, and that was my fault. So that was cool. I like that kind of company relationship, if you will. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed watching. You know, there wasn't a whole lot to this review, but there didn't need to be. You know, the Beta 390 is a solid bike, and they've really just built on what they already had. So if it's something you're interested in and you're wondering if it's good, I would 100% say yes. So I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll catch y'all next time. Ferret Face out.